Hello and welcome to Grocer Pod. My name is Sean Kosednar. Today I'm talking with Learning Solutions Director Ana Velazquez. She's here to tell us all about AWG University. Before we get to Ana, I want to remind you to please subscribe to Grocer Pod. Subscribing means new episodes will be downloaded for you each week. You can find Grocer Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or any other platform you use to listen to podcasts. Thanks for joining me today, Ana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I thought since it's back to school time, it'd be a great time to talk about AWG University. So to start out, why don't you tell everybody what AWG University is?
Sure. So AWG is always looking to support their members, and they have engaged the Institute into creating the AWG University to help retailers get the heavy lifting that is needed for a good online training program with an online training platform. So the idea is that the stores will have all the resources that they need to do onboarding, to work on compliance, to do operations for the different departments, and even to help their emerging leaders and managers develop within the platform too.
Why is training your team so important?
That's a great question. There are many reasons to do training. Normally, we think, okay, we need to bring somebody in and get them up to speed. But when you're looking at the business, there are four main reasons that we have identified that clearly justify investing time and effort in training. The number one reason is to be compliant. We're in a field where safety, security, food, sanitation are things that are important, sexual harassment, those kind of topics that the government puts requirements on the store. And you need to track that, and you need to be compliant to avoid fines, especially. And so you need to have a good tool and a good process to cover those training requirements from the government. Second reason why we should be doing training is to reduce liabilities. If you have an accident, if you have a situation in your store, and the general rule in the US is that if you can prove that you have properly trained your staff, then that will reduce your liabilities. For example, I had a case where a client had somebody in the store use a ladder, and they had an accident, and the individual sued the company for his injuries. They called us, and we were able to provide them with the record of training for the individual. We provide them the content, and they were able to prove in court that they did their part, that they were responsible consistently training their associate, and that person had taken tests and they had passed the test. So they had the knowledge they need to properly use those ladders. So the lawsuit got dismissed. So if you want to protect yourself, you want to make sure that you do proper training, especially in the safety area. The third reason is for engagement and retention. When we are talking to the stores, and one of the main complaints is that they don't seem to retain people. If you onboard somebody into your store and you show them a clear path of knowledge. So the idea is that when you properly train an individual, they come on board into your organization, they can see a path and a future. They can see that you are literally investing in their future, so they are more likely to become more loyal to your organizations. They're going to feel more prepared to do their job. So the onboarding process, the learning curve is going to be smoother. So you're going to end up having happier employees, people that know what they're supposed to be doing, that they understand the rules of the game, so they're more likely to stick around with your stores. Number 4 reason is to provide the best customer service. I hear a lot of complaints like they don't know how to treat people. They are scaring our clients, or there are incidents that we need to address. If you prepare your people properly, they are going to be able to perform up to your expectations, and they're going to provide the customer service that you are promising your clients. Because remember, it's not a single event. It's every time a customer comes into your store, you want them to have an exceptional experience. And to be able to provide that, then you have to train your people. If you look at companies that have the highest retention in the retail business, the amount of training that they do is considerable and is consistent. They keep their employees in training programs throughout their career to prepare them for their next stages within the company.
Obviously, the compliance component and the liability component are massive reasons why AWG retailers should look into these trainings, and those speak for themselves. But the 2 parts that I really wanted to focus on are the more engaged and employee retention and the customer service. I just talked with John Ross from Independent Grocers Alliance a couple of months ago, and we were talking about one of the ways to retain employees is to give them a sense of meaning and to their work. And these trainings are a great way of doing that. They can learn more stuff. They can, advance in your store, and they'll feel a lot more connected to the work that they're doing rather than just showing up and doing the same thing every day. If you can just give them a little bit of training on whatever they happen to be interested in or whatever you need them to do, it's going to help your store in the long run.
Definitely. And the program that AWG is offering their members covers all the areas that they need to really grow that engagement. You can prepare a program that has a solid onboarding platform. When we get somebody from the streets coming in to the store, they really don't have an idea of how complex the situation is within the store. There are a million things happening. For somebody who has no experience, they're being brought into a very chaotic situation. So if you use the program and you give them a good onboarding where they understand what the importance is of the retail business, they can learn about customer service. They can learn about professionalism. They can learn about time management, introduction to food and health, introduction to the industry. So there are a series of courses, and I'm just mentioning a few because we have around 300 courses in English and about 165 courses in Spanish, which also turns into the engagement and retention. When you can train people in their own native language, they might be able to capture that knowledge much better and retain what they are learning. So you give them a good onboarding program that is very easy to do because you're only going to be training one person at a time. So you're not going to be spending a lot of payroll hours by having multiple people train. That this individual can go on the online program, take the courses that have been assigned to them, learn at their own pace. Imagine you come into this chaotic environment and there is somebody making you drink from a fire hose of information. You got to do this, because we don't have time in the stores. They're going to be looking at you like a deer caught in the lights. They're going to be confused. They're not going to be able to really understand. You sit them in a computer where The program is explaining them how they need to stock a shelf. Then when you take them to the floor to show them how they're going to be stocking the shelf, they already have a base knowledge. And then you can build on that. You can have them practice, and it's not going to be totally brand new. You're not going to have somebody looking at your face expecting you to understand a lot of things that are new to you and expecting you to perform. So that previous experience before you get to the on-the-job training make people feel more comfortable. They have more knowledge. They have learned at their own pace. So it's less likely that they're going to disappear and not come back the second day because they invested a little bit of time. And especially with younger people, this is their native medium. They grew up with a mobile phone, which you can do the training on a mobile platform from your phone. This is comfortable for them. This is how they learn. This is how they're used to do their everyday activities. So you're gonna give them the content in a platform that it's native to them. You're gonna give them content that they're gonna need to perform on their job. And we need to remember that period when you are being onboarded, this is the time when people are the most receptive to receive information. Nobody wants to start a job and fail. So their interest is at its highest when they are being onboarded. They are like little sponges that are capturing everything that you want to give them. So if you give it to them in their native platform, if you give it to them when they are most receptive, they are going to be able to perform much better. So that definitely is going to increase your retention and your engagement.
One of the things that you said there that I really liked was the combination of both using the video modules with, in-person training, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. Show them a video on how to stock the shelves, and now we're going to go and do that together. Because what I could see happening is a reliance solely on the video modules and then saying, all right, you watch this, here you go. Yeah. And that's probably not going to be as effective either. Like it really does need to be a combination of the two.
Yes. And this is all brain science. For you to remember something, you need to have multiple exposures. So if I teach you something today, at the end of the day, your brain is going to retain around 20 to 10%. And everybody who has kids know about it. You gotta say things over and over and over again. And that's the nature of our brain. We're receiving a lot of input in our brain, and it needs to be selective on what it's gonna keep. Otherwise, it's gonna go on an overload. So you need to repeat things. It takes time to process information and to become proficient. So imagine you're coming to become a cashier. And the first day they load you with information, then they have you sitting next to a cashier, and then you go live. But if I have a meeting with you before you start training, and I tell you, this is your position, these are the things that are most important to you. Now, I have a series of courses that you're going to be taking where you're going to learn at your own pace. Now, I'm going to take you to work with another cashier. So you're kind of reinforcing the same process, and you're giving those brains time to really capture that knowledge. And it's like building a chain where every link is adding to the length of your chain. So that repetition, it's really important. And when we're talking about retailers, they rarely have somebody dedicated to training. So it is, I get the most expert person on the floor, and that's who's going to become the trainer. But if you're not a formal trainer, your first thing is you're going to be teaching on the things that you master. But whatever you're not so sure, you're going to skip that part. So you're bringing in a lot of inconsistencies in training. because these are people that might be really proficient at their position, but not necessarily great communicators or great teachers. We have some people that are great, but most are not. So you have the security that you know that when somebody goes through the online training, everybody's going to be receiving the same information. And then all you have to do on the floor is really emphasize that. So even the people that are training have a reference of what are the most important points that they need to cover. And then to that, you add the things that are unique to your store. So you're really reducing the training effort in your organization by being conservative by 50%, even more. And what I hear from my clients is that once they start using an online training program, their in-house training efforts get reduced significantly. We did a pilot with HARPS, and the managers that were part of the pilot, what they told us is like, well, we have seen that out of the allocated hours that we have for training, we are using about half of it because now our training is going so much faster. So it is a real important piece to have a tool that is going to do the heavy lifting for you.
I like what you were talking about before about, you may have someone that's very good at their job, but they may not be a great trainer because that is a skill in of itself. What is AWG doing to support retailers' training initiatives?
So what we are doing, part of this program, I've been working with independent retailers for 18 years. So I've seen quite a few cases and examples. I have onboarded hundreds of companies, from companies that have 3 people to organizations that have 200 stores. So I've seen all and in between. And what I've seen is that when they are preparing their training, they are able to really highlight the things that are important for the company that we don't know. And they can use their training time to really emphasize that area and leave all the basic training, all the heavy lifting in there. So they can, the people that are in the store are able to really create that culture of learning and helping the new associates understand what the company is all about, because they don't have to put that many resources in all the basic training. So what I do with every client that is being onboarded is we have what we call the OTAC certification, Online Training Administrator certification. And depending on the company, we go through a series of sessions where we go over best practices. We kind of lay out what are the needs, desires, and the bigger problems that the stores have. And then we build together a training program that makes sense for their organization. What are their priorities? We work with helping them pick the courses, with creating their best practices and policies internally, how this program is going to run, because training is not a one-time and done. I mean, if you want to keep growing your people, you need to keep at it. People are growing, they master some things, then you add some new skills, some new job positions. And we see it. We see people that start coming to our program and they're doing all the basics, and then they grow to the department manager libraries, and then they grow to the management libraries, and then they change departments. So what we do is just make sure that their programs stay current and that they have the knowledge on how to implement an online training program and how to keep growing it. So it's not going to be a lonely endeavor. It's not like we're going to dump you with an online training program and then go figure it out. We're going to walk with them every step of the way. I have clients that I basically talk daily with them. because they're always creating something new. They always are addressing issues. These are administrators that are part of the management team that can realize, okay, we're discussing in the management team that we're having a problem with XYZ. What kind of training can we do to help solve these problems? So that said, there are two layers to any online training program. One is the basic stuff. You need to do compliance, you need to onboard people, you need to teach them basic skills. So it's about developing the individuals. But the other layer, and this is what makes a training program really successful, is when the administrator is really connected to the management. It's not one person in an office thinking what is the best curriculum. This person is involved in the leadership of the organization and can see what are the needs of the company, what are the problems that we're having, how can we solve them with training. They know what are the future goals of the company. If I know that the goal of my company is, offer the best customer service, that goal needs to be supported with people that can deliver that best customer service to their clients. So there needs to be a translator between the goals and the needs of the company and how training can help those goals.
What do retailers need to do if they're interested in getting started with AWG University? Very
easy. We can get them up and running in a day. So they need to contact either Joyce or Jason Forrester. We will do a demo. We will show them the platform. And if it is a good fit for them, they can sign up for the program. And then we will set them up in the system. And then we'll start that series of 1 to 4 or 5 onboarding sessions, depending on how complex their program will be. And then they will be up and running. We have onboarded people in a day, in a week, in 3 months. So it is very easy. Just contact Jason Forrester, and he will be able to lead the way on the process.
Well, thank you, Ana. I think that was very insightful, and I hope that all the AWG member retailers out there take advantage of AWG University. Thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the time. I hope to hear all the retailers calling Jason.
Yes. And thank you all for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to Grocer Pod. That way you can stay up to date on all the latest things going on around AWG. And until next week, this has been Sean Kosednar with Grocer Pod.